And the idea was to the women who are actually not shying away from taking the stride head on, not like they are perhaps perturbed by where are they coming from in terms of are we coming from a political legacy or not, but letting that not be a deterrent for us as we move forward. And one of the things that sorry, we at NETRI are good at creating is an ecosystem for women to be in politics. And I think this has been a journey where Ananya is somebody who knows about NETRI from the time when it was just a little idea in my head, when in 2018 I made a video about it as a fellow in another program, because I really wanted to do this and I was in a political office trying to comprehend where are the women. This question of where are the women has been the guiding light of our lives. Wherever there is not enough, you say, "Ao beno," like take the world over. So not delaying this, but what I was saying about NETRI Foundation is that we are creating an ecosystem and where there is place for everyone, and not constraining politics to be electoral politics. We are saying that there are two kinds of politics. There is the electoral politics, and then there is whole election management space. There is policy space, right? So everything that you see on the front, on the screens, the big screens on our TVs, is being managed by so many people who are influencing it. And are women really the influencers, right? The decision maker and the influencers are two key positions for women to take their space and claim it through governments and policies. So this panel is entirely about creating that ripple effect through policy. Ananya has been on both sides. She has been political strategist, is now also a founder of an organization working to end period poverty in India, Paint It Red. Lipsa is somebody who's been a part of our Samantha Ambassador program. She's been working with the Odisha government. She's been part of multiple initiatives, but one of her ideas is about how do we get women from the grassroots, especially from the SHG network, to come into politics. Exploring that idea, and I do want to hear everything about that. We have Janvi here, who comes from Parvani, a place in Maharashtra. Seeing her, single mother, do the things that she did and getting that steely determination from her mother, is currently studying at Azim Premji University. Public policy, is the communication manager at She for Change, another platform that is trying to create spaces for women. Wants to be a political campaigner for sure. That's how she got into our Samantha Ambassador program. With that, I want to do this. Yashasvi is here, who I have known as a child, I would say. She's grown up to be another young woman in the space. Takes completely after her feminist mother, who we all fondly call mother in Bhopal mein, matlab she's Jagat Ma, because she's such a beautiful person to be associated with. But Yashasvi's herself she went to United Nations at the very early age of 13 years old. She presented there. Currently also studies at Azim Premji University, interned with DCW. And of course, I would want women like Yashasvi and girls like Yashasvi to be in Madhya Pradesh's politics. So welcome, Yashasvi. Achal is that one person who wrote to us in 2020 with that subject line saying, "I want to be in politics now." And it's 2022, and I'm sure that we are not far from that day when she'll actually be getting into electoral politics. She's joined UP. She works with Delhi UP. It has been in the policy space for the longest time, was working with Piramal, been a Gandhi Fellow, currently also working in a professional setup with EY. So how women are also, choosing policy with the name to be in politics and influencing it. Over to you, Ananya. The panel is yours. Can't hear you. Oh no, can't hear you.
All hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Here's
There's a
the
flag,
button.
but can hear you.
Sure. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I'm in Himachal. I've been on field, so please excuse the little bandwidth issues that I might incur. But I'm so excited to be here and get to know each of you better. And I see that I can. I'm probably going to work with y'all in the future. I know. Let's get to know y'all better. So just throwing open a question, I would want everybody to go around answering maybe for us. What do you identify as your personal brand of politics? Since we are politics and policy. Since this is International Women's Day, we want to start by knowing you first. Alphabetical order. Achal, how about you go first? Achal, are you with us? No, Achal, unfortunately, we cannot hear you.
Why don't you disconnect and join again, Achal?
All right.
एक बार try करो.
Till then, Janvi, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Wishing you all a happy Women's Day is what I'll start with. Not sure about personal brand because the time I hear branding or brand, there's just two things that come into my mind. First is my bachelor's degree in management, and second is Kangshi Di. Sell yourself, Chanvi. Selling is the thing. जब तक तो अपना नाम नहीं बेचेगी कौन याद करेगा? So yeah, that is where I get it from. So my personal brand, I'd associate anything related to strategy and campaign. So I'm hoping to create my personal brand yet there. That's my road. Janvi Iyer, more into communications. Politics is my coffee and strategy is my tea. So that is what I'd like to introduce myself. And looking forward to hearing from you, lovely women.
Thank you, Janvi. Lipsa.
Everyone, glad to be here, glad to be meeting all of you, and a very happy Women's Day to all of you. I think my personal brand of politics is to go far, we go together. So that would be that I build the capabilities that I have in many, many, many more women around me. That is just what my politics is.
That's amazing. Aren't we in the perfect panel for that right now? Yashasvi.
Sure. So happy Women's Day to all of you. And I think to begin with, on a very light note, I wanted to be the second lady Prime Minister of India since I don't know when. And ironically, Sonia Gandhi took backed off from the position then. And since then, I am like, yeah, I want to be the second lady Prime Minister. But I associate myself more with gender related politics. And with gender related politics, I mean gender because everything is political there. So yeah, and I am more towards policy or strategy, and I associate myself that way.
Fantastic. We are definitely cheering you on. We want a second, a third, a fourth woman prime minister as soon as possible. It's the need of the hour. Ajoy,
Yeah, am I audible now?
you are.
Yeah. So, happy Women's Day to all of you. I associate with the idea of uplifting the underprivileged women who are coming from marginalized community, and how can we ensure that they are actively participating as not only as contestants but also as influencers, because most of the time we see that women are not allowed to even speak in the office premises because it's they believe that आप तो क्या ही contribute कर पाएंगे. So I associate with the idea of give them the voice who are coming from the downtrodden society. Thank you.
Amazing. Such diverse yet similar things that everyone is doing. Yashasvi, I have a question for you, right? Since you want to be somebody who's going to enter, who wants to enter electoral politics eventually, how do you think we can address the gap that exists in terms of gender-based policy and the fact that we have very low political representation, right? What would be the first thing that you would want to address once you're in office?
Firstly, I am so glad that you're already looking like seeing me there. So, but yeah, about the gap, I feel it's I remember once Kangshi Di saying this, and I will keep mentioning her name because as she told that she has known me since I was a child, and things have been ingrained in me since then. So um, I see that women's representation, of course, policy of reservation is one thing that we all look forward to, and it's not 33% anymore. It's proper 50% that we are in the world, right? So I want to the first step is that, but however, what is more important is to have feminist representation there, because even if women are there in the field of politics, if they come with a patriarchal mindset, it's not going to help. It's very very important to, and I feel that it's very important for a, as a student of policy and somebody who aspires to connect policy with politics, it's very important to ingrain the lens of gender in each one of us, by which I mean that whenever we look through world, there is a perspective of gender in all of us, because despite the fact that there are certain women in the field of policy, we lack policies that are feminist in nature, right? So that's what I at least believe, that it's important to have feminist representation and of course women representatives then.
That's so relevant. I'm working in the menstrual health space, and every menstrual health policy so far that has been introduced in the country has been done by men, and they're highly inadequate in answering the realities that women are living through, and the ones that we see on field, right? Which brings me to a very connected question. I think, Janvi, you would be the best person to answer this. That we see that there is a disconnect between policy and politics, right? Politics is the dirty word, and people choose to be politically apathetic, and policies become this new buzzword. Everyone wants to do policy. Like Yashasvi said, that they're not actually different. It is one and the same thing. How do you think that we as a group of feminists can make our communication stronger in terms of being able to communicate this to the people who need to hear this?
I'd like to break this question in two parts. I come from a place where I learn public policy. We talk so much about policy that we somehow, the word itself starts with the similar three letters. Politics, however, is branded itself as dirty because anyone who hasn't even learned or known about what goes around can be a politician. That is what we've known through it. And when you look at politician, you don't actually see a female. That's how we see. I remember Shevika was on a panel before, right? I remember working on her with a paper, and she was like, I made small kids draw what a politician looks like. And they draw some old old man, I'd like to mention, old man wearing white clothes, having a beard, and that is their idea of politician. While when you look at a policy thing, it's all academic, it's smart, and we accept. The accept is the word that goes in double quotations. We accept women being there. So I think it's an overlap. You don't understand policy without politics, and vice versa. You don't understand politics without policy. Both go around. And when I see about feminist communications, I think today's women need to brand and are thanks to people like Kangshi Di, who make sure that everyone understands the meaning, and not just the contextual literal meaning of branding, but branding actually comes within you. This is what are my focus areas, these are my strategies, and yet I'm going to go that. So you have a pathway, and that's how today's feminine, or I say today's feminists, will communicate that to the world, at least to the country, I wish.
You're so right. It's been, even growing up, finding women leaders who you could look up to was always such a task, right? And hopefully the next generation that comes after us can look up to some of us and say that, yes, there is somebody I want to be like, somebody who looks like me, somebody who talks like me, and somebody whose lived realities are similar to mine, right? Lipsa, that brings me to you. You spoke about building communities, right? How do you see that we can increase women participation in politics? We've seen that, and NETRI is obviously doing their beautiful part in doing that. But for example, in panchayats where there are reservation as well, we see an issue of proxy leadership, right? A whole new word has come up called mukhyapati, where the husband is yielding power in the name of their wives. What would be your way to encourage them into becoming active in politics?
I think for me, participation always boils down to hard skills, right? If I don't have the hard skills to understand things, I will just not participate, and therefore my space gets taken away, right? So I'll go back to what I was saying. Building capabilities is the primary way of upping participation in a certain way, right? If we have women sarpanches, do they understand the constitutional mandate that is conferred upon them because they got elected in that place, right? Do they understand schemes? Do they have the means and the teams and the tools to analyze what's happening? So I think participation for me is going beyond encouragement, going beyond just motivation to creating support structures for building these kind of hard skills. And that needs investment, that needs continuous investment in a sense that you want that person to grow, not just react or respond to where they are, but go beyond that. I think that is what participation is for me. Lasting participation is for me. Whether you're in office or you're not in office, you have the tools, processes, abilities to understand, comprehend, and be able to respond with that. Respond to something with enough understanding of that.
I think that's
I think that's
extremely.
extremely.
Um, Achal, since you're working with the Aam Aadmi Party policy wing currently, could you shed some light on, say, the challenges you see in terms of gender representation in research and policy work? Right, it has to go hand in hand. Have you seen a change? You know, see somebody who's actively involved. What has been your experience so far?
So my experience shares that it has been a difficult, it has been difficult on my part to actually see women actively engaging at Vidhan Sabha as well. Uh, Nobody is talking about the issues that our constituency is facing. Nobody, in fact, at state level also, uh, you could see that the representation for, let's say, even in decision making is given to very handful of women over there, and I would rather say that only one woman is there in the party who's actually running the show, which is Atishi ma'am, right? So, and her visibility is very strong enough, right? People get inspired by her, but when it comes to ground level, you'll see that women representation at constituency level, at ward level, dilutes. Reason being, um, it's not that people who are there from other gender are not motivating them. It's just that they don't feel like uh, contributing because they do not have the trust in the system. What I felt over a period of time. So it's a poor representation which I have seen, not only at state level but also at constituency level. The only representation that I see is good connections, purane connections, मेरे जी के साथ के जो हैं, who are just going to be there for attendance. So that's the representation that I have seen.
Right, that makes so much sense, right? Because we don't see that many women leaders taking that stand that we would like them to. Which also brings me to the point of the fact that we just concluded 5 elections in different states. One thing that stood out was Priyanka Gandhi's entire campaign, Ladki Hu, Ladki Hu. And I, for one, was looking forward to seeing more faces, right? It
Yeah.
became a very PGV central campaign where the only person visible in that entire campaign was her when she was not even contesting, right? So where are the girls? What do you think, Yashasvi, can we do in terms of political communication where the people who actually deserve to be represented are at the front of it? Not as a political tokenism that we've started seeing as a trend in recent politics.
Correct. So, yeah, so I believe that. Do you hear an echo in my voice, by the way? Is it fine? Yeah, so thank you. So I believe that, you use the right term. So political tokenism is the right term that is being used recently. However, as a student of not just policy but also governance, and governance is all about who governs, right? And it comes from there is a term in governance which we use, voice and exit, and unfortunately women who need voice have exited the system, or rather never existed in the system, whereas people who have voice are taking over their voices. However, what I want to say is, how can it be addressed is by having more and more organizations like how NETRI is working. I love the idea of how not just training women who want to be in the politics, but also women who want to contribute to politics, who want to understand the idea of politics, is something very important that organizations like NETRI are doing. And I feel that, before even, I feel there are a lot of women who are given tickets just because certain, case has been associated with them, when they don't understand the meaning of politics or governance that goes around, right? And it's a very complex field. So organizations like these, and moreover communication and normalizing the fact that women can lead, and women are leaders who can actually change the world. uh, I would use the term world, because when I say it, I mean it, that whenever you talked about how even despite reservation rural governance, there is a panchayat pati, sarpanch pati ka connotation attached to it. But there are a lot of researches which tell that even after if that woman comes in the second term of the politics, she has gained enough capacity to govern. And that's what matters. You can give one chance as tokenism, but eventually that woman is going to learn how to govern, so you cannot control her. And that's where the what should I say, so that's where the chance comes in, the factor of chance. That, so for example, if a woman has lost an election this time, would know what to do in the next election if she understands things better. So I would, in one term, capacity building is the term that how can we address, and communication, of course, more and more talks like these would help. Yeah.
I agree with you completely. Even when there was tokenism, the one thing I did learn was that the few who are yielding their power are are already inspiring many more to do that. Janvi, I want to bring you in here. I feel social media has a huge role as well to play in being able to bridge this gap. I think even Netri started with fellowships that they could take to so many people through the power of just digital communication, create ground connect. How do you see youth using the digital space? And do you think that that could impact and create political capital for women going forward?
I'm really sorry. I think I lost you in middle, but I'm just gonna put pieces together on the question that was, how does India's youth drive this conversation through digital media, is what her question was in general. Am I getting it right? Yeah. So when we look at digital media, especially when it comes to the context here is very important to be set. As politics, or what we call as policy driven politics, that is, you have the context to what you're trying to do. It's very nascent in India. We are yet trying to still build up on the original very old structure model of campaigning, ghar ghar jaake vote mangna, which also is very effective than going just tweeting on Twitter. That makes your visibility way larger, yet way effective. That can go either ways, but you still have your presence, right? Today, if we look at exit polls, it's the time of exit polls. Even though we do not, we know the X and X party, I would like to refrain. X and X party today does not get a full majority, but we know that there is a presence. The presence absolutely is driven by, I think, three things. I would start with two today, but with the yesterday's exit polls, I think I have concluded myself with three things. A is visibility. How efficient are you in getting and making yourself visible? And that does not require a monetary capital, but I guess that requires a lot of human capital that today's youth is really ready to bring about it, and actually capable. I see a lot of friends of mine, fellows, Yashasvi is one of them. They can network and they're capable of getting human capital for themselves. The second being accessibility. You don't need the bags of money कि हाँ मुझे चार खोके पैसा चाहिए आज इलेक्शन या कैंपेन खड़ा करने के लिए. If I have my presence on digital media, so far as I can at least win a panchayat or local governance election. With that, if I'm actually present and visible on that media, it connects you. Nokia wasn't wrong so far. And that was just my bland plugin. I'm really sorry. And the last being branding. Branding just stays. Today's youth brands itself as the modern messiah of India, would not be extremist, but yet get your things done. I think that's what would be my answer. Thank you.
That's actually really relevant. Being visible and being able to build an identity in yourself, I think, is an important part of representation as well. Lipsa, that brings me to the point of intersectionality, right? As feminists, we need to recognize that with gender, and in a country like ours, comes in the issues of caste, religion. So many different layers are involved, right? Sexuality. When we're in community, somehow we tend to put ourselves into boxes. How do you envision a world where these boxes are feeble or non-existent altogether,
I mean, that takes you to a more fundamental question of what is our identity? Are our identities real or constructed? Are they intrinsic or are they socially constructed? And to how much do they really impact me, right? If I have an identity which is a box, I want to hold on to my box, and the society that I live in, I would need that society to also respect the box in which I am comfortable in, right? I think it is not so much about de-boxing, but about creating policy constructs which solve for multiple boxes also. I think policies evolve that way, right? You start with very universal policy, and over time, your systems, your government processes mature enough to make those universal policies highly contextual in nature as well. Like let's talk about the Food Security Act that we have, and then the PDS system that we have as an outcome of it, right? And now how there is debate around moving from just a public distribution system to nutrition security. And nutrition would mean very, very targeted impact of what I eat. So what I eat in a tribal community is going to be very different from a coastal community, which means your construct remains similar, but then how you deliver what you deliver needs to change to context. I think that would be maturity in public policy as well as governance processes, to be able to deliver within those boxes that mean something to people versus really imagining deboxing things.
that's Can you all hear me? Because I think I'm experiencing low band.
Your voice just cracked, Ananya. Um are you there? Yeah, you're back.
Awesome. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I also wanted to ask us the similar question to Achal, in terms of policy making, in terms of the research we present to members of parliament, in terms of, advocacy and lobbying, in terms of policy building. How do you see us being able to address some of the intersectional issues that exist, especially in the current political environment that we are facing?
Um, so I haven't seen that happening at my constituency level. I don't know about what is happening at the state level, but from the experience of, let's say, over a period of 1.5 years, I can see that from my constituency, I haven't seen that happening. Not even we are asked, okay, what are the concerns, or let's say, can we do something about it where we can consolidate our voice and this can become the part of the report that can be submitted at Vidhan Sabha level. Can we do something of this? It doesn't happen. So I haven't seen that happening at constituency level, at least for my ward. I have zero idea about what is happening at the state level, but yeah.
How about you, Yashasvi? What do you think about intersectionality and us being able to address that in a complex country like ours?
It's a very complex question in itself. Uh, but yeah, so just a second. Yeah. So I and Janvi are basically sitting in the same room and chatting. But yeah, intersectionality is something which cannot be separated from anybody, and specifically in a country like India, right? So it's not just gender, it's not just caste, it's class, it's where you belong to, it's region, it's everything, right? So I think when you address any situation, even policy related for that matter, um, you have to go down. You cannot, again, it brings me to representation, right? How can it be addressed? So if you don't have a representation, if you have, a panel thinking to increase the age of like the child marriage thing to 21 for girls, has one woman in it, how are you going to actually address that intersectional level? So what is important for me, it's communication, and it's communication at all levels. It's not just people sitting in the parliament, it's not just people who are making policy, but people who are getting affected by it should I think at that level communication becomes even more important, because I think then is the time when you raise voice what concerns you. Because half of the time, even when we talk about, say, I am talking very gender specific right now. So when you talk about, say, domestic violence, it becomes difficult to convince women that they are going through some sort of violence. So until and unless you speak, you communicate in that group, I think communication is the key to that. Yeah, that's how I would put it.
Since we are on the topic of using communication as a key component, um, it even within politics, right? Perceptions are very difficult to undo. For example, if women are seeking powerful position, it's usually viewed negatively by voters. So a lot of bit of our communication has to not just be to our people, as in women or allies, but also to the men, and be able to change that perception. Janvi, what do you think are your thoughts on how can we address these different kind of notions and perceptions that have existed for time and again and has become a part of our conditioning in a way? How do you think we can address that to change this perception of women and women in politics?
Ananya, I think Janvi has lost a connection, so she'll be joining in a minute. Yeah.
If anybody else wants to contribute, because this even in the US we see how female leaders who want to stand for powerful positions are not looked upon as favorably as men are. Anybody else has an opinion on how you think we can change this popular perception that exists in voters?
I think by bringing more women to the power, you can change this perception. Because the more we are in power, because if we see very few people, few women in power holding positions, we are bound to say that अच्छा बहुत ज्यादा authoritative होंगी, okay अपना ही जिस तरीके से, because over a period of time she has got this power, so definitely she's just going to bash people around. So that's how we see. But I believe that this can be, this perception, I would say that this is a wrong perception, and this can be only broken by involving, or let's say giving more power to women. So the many we are, uh, like 50% of reservation, I believe that this perception will be changed, and we'll be considered that we are like the power is in right hands. I believe that.
Can I just add one line to what Achal said? So I agree that representation is very, very important, but not every woman is going to represent, right? And as Ananya put it across, that, it's important to talk to allies, and it's very important to have men in alliance, because they play a very important role in changing the notion. Because again, they play and it's just not men, every person is a very important ally to us. And I think it's very important to reach out to people to be more political, because when they get more political, they understand the nature of politics, and who can contribute, who cannot. And it's a very it's yeah, Ananya put it very precise and in a very accurate manner, that even if women are in the lead positions, people doubt their decision making. And and people, men in the same men as the same counterparts can make same mistakes, but then they're just politicians. But if women are in politics, they are not allowed to make mistakes, because they're women and they can't make mistakes. So I think it's very, very important, from a child to every person, like men, transgenders, every person in the community who is political, and all of us are political. So to understand and change the narrative. Yeah, Janvi, I think that's a question to you, but yeah.
I'm really sorry. I logged out in middle. Could you please repeat the question?
Absolutely. So, Janvi, we were just discussing how it's important to break some popular notions which can actually prevent women from entering leadership positions. One such example that I used was how voters sometimes view women who are seeking power in a negative fashion, right? Women are not conventionally meant to be power holders. How can we use, what do you think we can do to break such ingrained and almost conditioned perceptions?
So, to be very relevant at the moment, when we talk about perceptions or something that's ingrained and conditioned, we're talking about social constructs. And the most important thing that we're looking at today is vaccine hesitancy. Somehow or the not, we see a lot of women, even though it might be their will to get the vaccine jab, you're somehow conditioned. And then there are myths around women that no, she is charming, she cannot take the jab. When are you asking her agency if she or she knows, he she the identity knows whether to take the jab or not? So when we're looking at social construct, it is not anything superficial. You're going through the contextual layers ingrained in what our qualitative thinking about it is. How are we communicating about it? As Yashasvi pointed out very rightly, it's the narrative that you set. We do not accept women in leadership because we are not yet there to differentiate women and power holders. We do not look at someone as the CEO. We say women entrepreneurs or women CEOs. Why can't we just see them as entrepreneurs? I think that's the construct we bake, and the construct we bake is capacity building. How does capacity building play a role? Because if a bunch of people know what they're doing, they can tell the same bunch of people can move forward with that information. And that's how communication works as well. So I think the point to start or begin here is acknowledging that yes, you do not treat every identity the same as you treat the masculine or male identity today in the society.
I think that's a really prudent point. I think everything eventually starts from a simple acknowledgement of the problem. I think that's the start to leading there. As NETRI is trying to create a network also where we can support each other in our political and policy ambitions, how do you all think that you all will be able to convert your policy influence and take the work that you all are maybe already doing with NETRI forward? We'll start with Lipsa because she's already been an ambassador. I would love to hear how you are looking at creating an influence on the young ones.
Thank you for asking the question. I'm going to link it to two previous questions that we have discussed over here. The first one being about power, right? And I want to share my experience of power in the space of policy and influence. So I feel I'm quite powerful in the place that I am in. Now, where does my power come from? My power comes from my ability to influence. Where does my ability to influence come from? It comes from being able to rise beyond I and my idea, because that is something very, very key in influence. If I just stick to me being me and to my idea being my idea, then you don't have influence. You only have a great idea, right? The big thing about influence is to rise beyond that, is to understand the other person's predicament, is to bring about critical insights, and always look out for the outcomes than anything else, right? That is what makes me, I think, a decent influencer in the space that I am in. And so my way of giving it back is and has been investing in women and other young girls around me who come into this space in building this ability of influencing that. And it becomes very difficult, right, to rise beyond I and my idea, because we're anyway boxed into these constructs where you have this pressure to prove, pressure to perform. But ultimately holding power and holding influence needs us to break out from that with enough security. That's, I think, that's my way of taking forward the entire NETRI journey in taking policy understanding into politics by investing in women to be able to look at power and influence in a self-transcendence manner. That's one. The second thing is about, we spoke about participation of women in politics and who performs, who does not perform, and skills. I think another important thing to look at is structure versus agency. Agency is the woman leader's own agency to act, to mobilize, to drive, right? But the policy question to ask is, do our elected representatives have the structure of an office that responds to their needs, that responds to what they want to get done, right? Our elected representative offices are not structured the way our administrative offices are, right? So why are we always looking for an exceptional politician? We don't need exceptional politicians. We need politicians with the intent who are also by policy given a certain office structure to be able to deliver. I think that would be my second push in terms of bringing about participation from a policy side, is to push for support structures for elected representatives. That's how I see it taking the NETRI journey forward.
That's such a beautiful thought, Lipsa. Thank you for sharing that with us. What about you, Yashasvi?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to what Lipsa said. However, what I want to just add on is I would take forward this journey by blurring the gap between policy and politics. They are two separate things, but they're not separate at all. So I believe that any policy would only remain on paper until and unless there is a political backing to it, and not political in terms of party, in terms of ideology, because this country and I think every human relationship runs on trust. And until and unless politicians are able to convince people around them that this policy is right for them, the policy is going to remain on paper, right? So I want to continue, I want to carry forward this NETRI journey from a Samantha ambassador, or rather I should say, since the time I have known this idea, to Samantha ambassador until today. I believe that I am going to take it forward in the form of strategy making, which is very structural, like Lipsa said, that it's very structural in nature, and it is going to be gradual. But I think the more the gradual, the more the sustainable it would be. And yeah, that's my answer to it.
Looking forward to this gradual progress that we can make, together, hopefully. Ajal, what about you?
I would, I completely agree with what Yashasvi has just spoken. I also believe that policy is there on paper, but a strong implementation plan should be there with our MLAs, and how there is a proper dedicated uh, team which ensures that whatever is there, it is happening. So I believe that what we all do is like a strong governance system can make it happen. That's what uh, my thought is.
Agree.
Hello, am
A
I
strong
audible?
governance system is
Yeah,
something that will definitely make that due difference, and people like you participating to bring that change gives me a lot of hope that we'll see that very, very soon. What about you,
but
John?
I'm so
Yes,
sorry. I just wanted to add. Hello, am I audible?
Go ahead, Anshul.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that even if we have to be mindful of the fact that the good intent has to be at both the from at both the ends, be it playing the role of active citizen who's ensuring that some kind of change needs to be happen, and also somebody who is there in the power, he also needs to listen actively and take actions accordingly. So I believe that equal participation at from both the side needs to take place. Then the strong governance system can be ensured and can be rolled out efficiently.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And that's again the best part to bring Janvi in. Janvi, how do you see you're still in college, so you have a vision for yourself, and I would love to hear what that is.
uh, Kangshidi and I have a lot in common. But the very, 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 I don't know, but a very silly thing that's common is drama. So I'll start. I'm take the legacy that the title legacy that I'm taking from Netri is knowing politics is hot and making politics is hot. I want to make politics hot for women out there. This is something that is as dramatic as it sounds. It's true, and I want to do that. And this is the legacy I am taking from Netri, from the Samantha Ambassadors program, from everyone in the cohort, and from Kangshidi. But talking through policy with all Lipsa saying, Yashasvi, and Achal, the policy that I'm interested the most, because I do and understand digital communications and I see a lot through campaign strategy. I think tech policy is a nascent thing that's growing in India, and women's presence in tech policy is as crucial as it gets, because I start reading through metaverse and augmented reality, and I see a women's presence can sensitize any aspect there is when you look at a globe or arena of aspects. Women bring sensitivity to a topic. They bring sustainability, as Yashasvi point out. I am not saying that any other identity doesn't, but we are conditioned and we are ingrained in a manner that we do bring this to the table more as compared to the skill sets that we do have. So yeah, here I am making politics hot. Thank you.
Politics is hot. I agree with you completely. I'm so glad that I could be and talk to all of you today. We discussed so many relevant things, be it about increasing the civil participation of women to representation, talking about the gaps that exist currently and how we are aspiring to fulfill that going forward. Before I close, I just want to again go around the room and a quick thought that I want from all of you, an advice for a young girl looking for inspiration in the politics and policy space, something you would want to tell them, something you could have maybe told your younger self when you were getting out on this path? Whoever wants
Go
to
in.
go.
Yeah, anyone can go in. Lipsa, why don't you start?
I think it comes from again having personal privilege of having worked with two women bosses, and I cannot go back. So I think the advice would be to find that female role model and work with them, because no one else is going to build that pathway for you. That's what I would say.
Wonderful. Janvi?
Yeah, I think I was very excited when the question was. I was trying to unmute myself because I think I rewind scenarios in my head, and that is me being small and me telling myself, "No, ye nahi karna hai." And as Lipsa pointed out very accurately, find a female boss for you to become the next woman boss that you are. Get mentors, surround yourself with as many mentors as you like, irrespective of your focus areas, because there's nobody else trying to help you or grow with you as a mentor or a female role model or a female boss would like. I have a female boss, and I cannot tell you how easy working is. Thank you. Have Anna. Happy Women's Day again, guys. It was wonderful being here with all of you.
Thank you, Janvi. That's actually a really nice, that's a beautiful thought. Who would like to go next? Yashasvi?
Sure. So, thanks, Jan. So yeah, I think to go back and like Janvi said, I was just because I would like to believe that you are still very young to enter, like to influence others for politics. But what would I have told to myself and I still tell to myself that please feel free to make mistakes. You are It's okay to make mistakes, and you are eventually going to learn. And don't be afraid that, because you are a woman, you have to be perfect. Be absolutely perfect with all the mistakes that you make, and surround yourself with women who are open to give you more opportunities, and also be that woman who opens opportunities for a lot of women. Yeah.
I'm really sorry for the plug-in, but I would like to speak. My mom is here. So the first female mentor that I had was my mom. So shout out for my mom and a happy Women's Day to her because she's here to cheer me up. Thank you everyone and thank you mom for being here.
That is
That's
so
so
sweet.
cute, Janvi. And Yashasvi, thank you for saying that, because as young girls who want to achieve something, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect. And it is okay, like you said, it is okay to make mistakes and learn from them. Am I missing anybody? I'm so sorry.
Anshul,
Yeah,
Anshul.
I So I'll just suggest to anybody, like a young girl, would I just suggest that enter the politics ASAP, because you are going to have a long journey. All the flavors are going to be there in your life. Therefore, please enter, politics, world of politics ASAP. And I could actually see one of our uh, sister who is actually doing a fantastic job in it. Her name is Arpita. I mean, the kind of work she's doing at such an age is, I mean, she's an inspiration to me. And as you know, others have just mentioned that you need to have mentors, especially female mentors. So I'll just pick this line from Kanchi. She used to say, मैं ऐसे ही गप मारती थी तो वो बोलती थी, go get it. तो मैं बोलती थी ऐसे कैसे मिल जाएगी power? She said you need to go and get it. So my advice would be go get it. It is meant for you.
That is so sweet.
Amazing.
Um,
I so agree with it, and I tell all of you, go get it. We're here, and I'm going to be cheering y'all on, because it was such an honor to be a part of this panel and get to know y'all better. And even though nobody asked, this would be my advice to a young girl, that don't try and look for inspiration anywhere else but around you. Look at every woman who's around you. Look at where they've come from, and you'll find the inspiration for sure. And at that note, I will hand it over to Kangshi. Thank you so much for making me a part of this.
you are an integral part of it, and so is everyone on this panel. They just belong. So it was the most effortless conclave that I've hosted, because I didn't have to look exactly what Ananya said. I didn't have to look too far. I am so proud that NETRI has come to a point that we, amongst us, can form like a whole conclave has been done by only NETRIs. Like, this is only NETRIs, no externals. And Ananya, you are as much like every moderator is as much a part of NETRI. You don't have to go through a training program to be it. The way each one of you spoke, I think enthuses me with the confidence that we are handing over our country to the right hands, which is the future generation, the future women, the feminist women of the country. One thing that I do want to bring back is working with women, especially feminist women, reaffirm some of the ideas that you are also not able to break in your immediate social surroundings. Sometimes it's really hard to fight patriarchy where it surrounds you most, sometimes in family units, sometimes in the society, sometimes in extended family and friends. Finding that support system, and I can't reiterate that in politics, resources can mean so many things. Whenever I say resources, a lot of people immediately think about answering on money, but on the money aspect, कि हाँ इतना पैसा लगेगा. But if there is one thing that can replace money is resources, which is human social capital, and what everybody brings to the table. Building those trust bridges with them has been my biggest learning. Like if all of us can trust each other, we can really form the bridge. We don't even need like to cross the bridge together. We can be the bridge. So thank you so much. And each one of you, our partners in the entire conclave, has been the second angle, a media outlet. You should all go and give them a follow on Instagram. Look at their work across, because they do fantastic work in bringing out relevant news. So thank you to them, to each of you as panelists, moderators, speakers, attendees, who made time to listen to women who are actually taking things head on, and amazing NETRIs. So on our third year running, I'm so proud of each one of you, and thank you for honoring me with your time, with your efforts, and with your presence. Thank you so much.
No
Yay.
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
On a quick note, we'll be sharing the recording and snippets of this whole program through our outreach partners, the second angle. So shout out to Veena, who has been with us through the day. The entire conclave has been, put up live on YouTube as well, which is on Kankshi, my own channel, Kankshi Agrawal, and we'll be sharing the link. Stay tuned. Do stay connected if you found value in the work we do. We do train women for politics, and this year we are coming up with like fantastic aggregator platform as well. So I look forward to having you all there. Thank you so much, and stay tuned. Bye bye. Have a great Women's Day, and hope we can do this together.